What is going on, everybody? Starwind is here, and for this recording we're going to talk about Black Myth Wukong. What were my thoughts about it? What were my impressions? That kind of thing. So I did not put it on YouTube. I may post some gameplay on here. I don't know if it's going to be a big giant video given the resolution, since I played it on the PlayStation 5. So bear with me on that if things get slow. I don't know if I'm going to post gameplay or not. So anyway, let me get on to my thoughts. So what do I think about Black Myth Wukong? Man, while it was a very action-packed type of game, it's similar to like a Souls game. If anybody played Dark Souls or what else, like Onimusha, Neo, games like that, it's more like that kind of, based on the old Chinese folktale Journey to the West, which stars the Monkey King, or Sun Wukong that's his name that he goes by, I guess. He probably has a bunch of names, but that's the one I most remember. Yeah, that game was really action-packed. The graphics was good. It was solid. For PS5, it was real solid. Music was decent. I'm not going to say it was terrible. I'm not going to say it was awesome either, but it was decent for what it was. Some people might say it was perfect, that type of deal. What else? The character himself, if only words could describe him, he is definitely a man of little to no words. Like, I don't think he uttered a single word. I'm talking about the main character. I don't think he uttered a single word in that entire game, other than, him getting hurt or yelling in battle. But he understood everybody else. I mean, anybody that was talking to him, whether it was Zhu Baiji, I liked him, but then I didn't like him as the game progressed. And simply because, he gave you a hard time as a boss, because there was a point in the game where you had to fight him twice, especially when it involved the Violet Spider. I guess they had like a love affair at one point. But like, throughout the game, he aids you in a few missions, but then when you guys fight together in boss fights, he wants to bail out in the middle of the damn match. And that kind of irked me. He did that way too many times for my liking. I'm like, guys, for those that developed the story, why do you keep bailing out the Monkey King? Why? Or he's not the Monkey King. He's like the descendant of the Monkey King, called the Destined One. That's the actual character, but it's not Sun Wukong himself. So he's like not an ancestor, but a descendant. Anyway, it was sad because, like, as the game progressed, like, how come Zhu Baiji, the pig, how come he kept leaving your boy behind? How come he kept leaving that happened at least, I forget how many boss fights it was. It was more than I could count, okay? Like, he would help you in the side missions until it was time to fight, and he'd be like, oh, I gotta run, I got something to do, or, oh, my back hurts, I need to walk out of this. You got this, kid, you got it. You call him a kid a bunch of times, because he's an old dude. I'm like, are you serious? Are you kidding me right now? You gonna leave at a crucial time like this when I'm getting my butt kicked by this particular boss? Okay, sure. Now, when you fight these bosses, I mean, they really give it to you as well. Now, some bosses are easier than others. I'll tell you one boss that really wanted me to pull my hair out, literally, was the rat boss in the second level, the second stage. He was like the head boss. He had the Buddha's head. He was the one that carried the Buddha's head, and he had this big giant spear. I forget his exact name, so forgive me for that. But he was a rat, okay? That dude, I think he hit me like maybe 2-3 times, and I was dead. So your dodging abilities had to be on point. And that was another pet peeve that I kind of disliked somewhat compared to like a Neo game or Onimusha. Like, in those games, you could actually block and parry a little bit. Especially in Neo, you could block, you could parry. In this one, you have to dodge. Alright? Now, some characters like Non-White and also Yellowbrow, some of those bosses, they could block your attacks if you allowed it. And then some of the characters had abilities to turn themselves into stone or metal. So if you tried to hit them, they would be able to deflect your attack. So I was like, okay. So the only ability, there's spells in the game that not the Monkey King, but the Destined One uses to kind of help you in the battles. Okay, like the most obvious one, the go-to was the immobilize. Okay, and when you got the pluck of many, that's where the destined one multiplies himself to a bunch of monkeys. That came in handy in a lot of battles too. And then you had the ring of fire that increased your attack as well as your health. And then you had cloud step, which was useful and turned you invisible for a little bit. Then you had rock solid, which that's the one that turned you into stone like some of the other characters, where you could deflect attacks. That was the only defensive style spell that you had, really. Now, there was a few others that I left out because I didn't collect every single spell. And that was another problem I had with this game. You didn't know where all the spells were at, where you could find them and stuff. Because some of those spells, you had to beat certain bosses on side missions. And I didn't encounter every single side mission. That was another thing. Some people was able to find it, but that was only because you jumped on a YouTube video by somebody else that found it. And for some of these missions, I had to do that because certain bosses I had to fight. It was going to be very difficult to beat that boss if I didn't have a certain item, like the Wind Tamer or the Fireproof Mantle. Okay, if you had those spells, it helped you out from either getting burnt to a crisp, or it helped you kind of paralyze the boss for a little while, so you can have an advantage and you can start attacking him while he's kind of blindsided by the Wind Tamer or the Weaver's Needle. So those spells helped out big time in them fights. But man, you couldn't block the attacks whatsoever. You had to dodge. You're dodging circle on the PS5. You had to be good pressing circle, because if you wasn't good at dodging, you're not gonna get far in this game. There's no way you're not getting far in the game at all. It's probably a bunch of people that bought the game and then they just rage quit. They probably couldn't get past chapter 1. There's 6 chapters overall in the game, but if you couldn't get past chapter 1, forget about it. Forget about it. There's no way. Forget about it. So that was probably the biggest pet peeve I had, that you had no ability to block or parry the attacks, really. Unless you had rock solid and you was very, very good at using it. Okay? That was about it. Now, as far as enhancing your attacks with the sparks, is what they call them. You collect those. That helps you level up. And you can build on the spells, and you can build up on your defense, your stamina, your attacks, the fight styles that you had. So you had the thrust stance, the smash stance, which was the normal stance, and then you had the pillar stance, where I keep calling Monkey King. The destined one is able to extend his staff in midair, and you can avoid certain attacks above ground. And then when you had enough power, you can make like a really long staff attack that way. And then the thrust attack was where you can extend the pole at the opponent. That was useful. And then you had the regular smash stance, and you power him up strong enough, he can make a devastating downward slash attack on the opponent. So that was very useful. Okay. And story-wise, it was good. I mean, some parts was a little confusing because this is my first time even looking at a Journey to the West style video game. So some parts was eye-opening. Some parts was like, I don't know about that. That was kind of weird, how it turned out. But it's Chinese folklore, so it's deep. Okay, somewhat deep anyway. What else did I... Other than the dodging and the fact that I had to literally go through walkthroughs just to figure out certain items to get in order to progress through the story, that's probably my biggest problem. Oh! There was no map in the game, so everything was blind. So you're basically going through the levels blind. It's not exactly open world. It's not an open world type game. The only chapter that felt really open world was chapter 6. That was the only one. Spoiler alert. Okay, but either way, there's no map, so it's not like you can just go back and try to figure out where to go in the map or in the world space to try to figure out where certain side missions were, certain items were, in order for you to make your character stronger or to progress through the story type of deal, right? So that was my only other problem with that. So that was like at least 3 problems. The dodging constantly, you couldn't block. Certain bosses were really a pain in the neck to beat if you didn't have a certain item to use in order to make it somewhat easier to fight and defeat. And then there was no map, hardly. So maybe some people didn't care for a map. I kind of care for a map, because at least that's how I got through certain games that was similar to Black Myth Wukong. Now, I don't know they're talking about making a sequel soon, since the game sold like crazy. It was like one of the fastest selling games ever. Like when it came out, it was damn near 20 million copies, which is insane. So if they decide to make a sequel, then I don't know if they're going to do a map or not. They may not even bother. Game Science, that's the company that made this game in China. I don't know if they even bother making a map, but it would be useful. So that way we're not missing out on anything in case we want to beat all the bosses and we want to get all the items so we can make the Destined One into the great character that he is. Okay, so I did like the game, but I feel like it could be some improvements here. It really is. So some people are calling it a masterpiece and stuff, at least I guess when they first played it. But there was definitely some flaws in the game that I feel like they could improve on. Battle-wise, it was solid other than the fact that you couldn't really block. You couldn't block at all. And then some of these bosses you fight, they were so damn OP, they hit you 2 or 3 times and you're gone. But I had some of the problems with that with Neo. So, and even Sekiro. I forgot about that game too. I mean, you just had to get good. It's one of them games where you got to really get good in order to progress. And you have to build your character's abilities very wisely. Okay, otherwise you wasn't going to get far in this game. Not at all. Not at all. So yeah, this review is all over the place. Forgive me for that, because it's been a while since I put up a video on the tube. Tell me what you guys think. Leave some comments or whatever, and we can talk about it for a bit. And I'll get back with you guys later. This is JJ Starwind signing out.